Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition New York Giants football talk. Kenny K here as always, but I'm not here with my good friend Paul Rosen. He has the night off, so I brought two of my close friends from the other side of the states up there in Colorado and Montana. My two friends from the Denver Bronco Roundup and the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Mr. Keith Brugman and Trevor Salzman. We'll go to Keith first. Keith, how are you doing this evening? Big Bronco fan. You guys are on the opposite sides of our record, 9-2. We're 2-9. Great to be here. Great to see you guys again, and thank you for coming on New York Giants football talk.
Yeah, been a full day with you, Kenny, and podcasting and talking about NFL football. We got it all started off because we talk every Monday morning, 7 a.m. on the Morning Juice. Check us out on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We go around to all 32 teams. I will tell you this, Kenny, feeling a lot better because at least now I can break open that Coca-Cola. I had no caffeine this morning for an early show, and I was a little bit groggy. Now I'm fired up to talk some Giants with you, talk about a different team, maybe give a different perspective. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Absolutely. And Keith, real quick, please give us, I'm on, for those who don't know, we plug it every Monday, but the Morning Juice is a morning show. I'm on with
Yeah.
Keith every Monday morning. Keith, please give our audience a little description of that show that we do on Monday morning.
Yeah, like I said, all the way around the horn, all 32 teams. We go over all the scores. We talk about what's going on, the stats, where teams are at. Usually have a little bit of fun as well. We like to do some lists here and there, but it's just a great time. Great time. Any fan, any football team can come in. Rocky Mountain Sports Network goes out live there. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you look out the Morning Juice, you'll find us.
Yeah, and like Keith said, we love doing it. 32 teams we talk about. We talk about other stuff too. A true morning show. Love it. It's going places, and couldn't be more excited to take the next step there with you, my friend, over there on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. 9 a.m. Eastern time on Mondays, because we are a Giants show. There's going to be a lot of East Coast people watching today.
Yeah, I got to get those East Coast times in my head. Yes.
And my other good friend from the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, another fellow horseman, Sir Trevor Salzman's joined us tonight. Trevor, how are you doing?
Doing well, Kenny. I was just talking the other day, and when was the last time with you guys the other day? I should say backstage. When was the last time we did a Giant show together? It's been a long time. So we were due for it. Excited to be here. Glad to be here, Kenny. Thank you for the invite, and looking forward to getting into Giants football. And I'm doing well. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate you coming on as well. Again, Paul has the night off. Everything's good. Just has a night off. Had a couple things to do at home. But Trevor, you joined me on mock draft shows. You joined me on with the Pick Is In draft show. Keith and us, we at K&K, we joined forces for that. But Trevor, the main show you do is called the Denver Bronco Roundup with Keith and Jody Moncrief, who's not here tonight, the one horseman that's not here from the Denver Bronco Roundup. Please give our audience a little description of that show as people are coming in, and I'm seeing probably some Giant fans coming in as well.
Yeah, and also did morning juice. Maybe it was more like evening juice when we did it, Kenny. But anyway, I was did the morning juice too. So you can find me anywhere on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, usually, but mainly Denver Bronco Roundup. We're on Wednesdays, 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. kind of Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 Eastern Time, kind of just in between that time frame. But you can find Keith and Jody, and then once in a while, me and Kenny will be on there Wednesdays, Sundays post game, and then we rock from there.
Phenomenal stuff you guys do, and grateful to be part of it. As well. Definitely check out whoever's on. If it's the three of us, the four of us, you definitely don't want to miss the shows that Keith and Trevor and Jody put out there for Denver Bronco Roundup. Let's get to the audience. The audience is chiming in. Our good friend, our backstage producer on Wednesdays, Graham, is checking in, saying, "Good evening, guys. Happy Monday." He wants to send this great call out here, Graham. He wants to send a quick prayer to Jets cornerback Chris Boyd, who was shot yesterday in the early hours of the morning. He's in critical condition. We'll keep an eye out on him. Was in Manhattan and got shot in the abdomen. So definitely prayers out to Chris Boyd for the New York Jets. Well said there, Graham. And he's saying Keith and Trevor on a Giants show. This is cool. More good friends. Ernie Mays saying hello, Kenny and Keith and Trevor. Remember, go Broncos country only. Ernie, it's blue and red here. It's not blue and orange, but I'll allow it. Of course, Ernie, you're a great friend, and we appreciate you always coming on our show and hanging out with us. And then I got a couple more friends chiming in. My good friend Sharon out there in Utah. Hey, guys, she's a big Bills fan. Bills won. Broncos kicked the Chiefs' ass. And Patrick, our good friend, saying aloha, gents, aloha, Giants fans, and aloha, Four Horsemen represent. And let's give Patrick a shout out real quick before we get to the agenda, guys. Lion Coffee, it's up there on the left corner, out there in Hawaii. He takes care of us all at the K&K Sports Show. He takes care of Keith and Trevor at Rocky Mountain Sports Network. LionCoffee.com. Gracious enough to give us a 10% discount for any of our followers on K&K and All In on High School Sports. LionCoffee.com. Use the code Patrick10. Any of your coffee products, coffee needs, coffee fixes, Patrick will take care of you. Truly is the best coffee I have ever had. Love all the stuff he sends, and thank you so much, Patrick, for always representing and hanging out with us on all our shows. And Patrick's out there in Hawaii, and he was with us for our 9 o'clock Eastern show, which is 2 a.m. his time, I think, 3 a.m. Between 2 and 3 a.m. his time, he joined us. So he's always supporting us, and we thank you, Patrick. All right, got our friends in, got our hellos in. Time to get to the agenda. And I got a good one, I think, for my two friends from an outside perspective. I think this is going to be a good one. But news broke, for those who didn't see the Giants game yesterday, I'm sure you heard news about our number 3 pick, Abdul Carter. He's having a little down year, only a half a sack, but, stats are misleading. He is getting a lot of pressures. He's had multiple sacks taken away from him because of a defensive penalty or an offensive penalty that the Giants accepted. He's probably lost about 4 sacks that way. So stats are a little misleading, but didn't play the first series yesterday, for those who don't know. And the reason was he missed his walkthrough. So Mike Kafka disciplined him by sitting him the first series. Wasn't allowed to play. Turns out Abdul Carter slept through the walkthroughs, is what they were saying in the media. Abdul Carter turned it around and said that he was getting some treatment. Abdul Carter, in my opinion, preseason asking for LT's number, Lawrence Taylor, acting like this. I think he thinks he may be Lawrence Taylor Jr. You're not Lawrence Taylor, Abdul Carter. Wake up. I think the coach insists, we're going to get to coaches in a little bit, but I think the problem is the coaching first, but you're a rookie. You need to be disciplined, and maybe some of these captains need to discipline him too. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. You're not going to act like this. But my thoughts, my questions to you guys is, was that discipline enough? And I'll go to Keith first on this one. Keon Coleman, Sharon's Bills, was benched for the whole game yesterday for similar circumstances, similar things he did. He got benched for the whole game. Abdul Carter gets benched for a series. Do you agree with the discipline, Keith? Do you think it should have been more? And what should Abdul Carter do going forward?
It's a great question of like how much discipline should you give a guy, because from what it sounds, Dable ran a team that was wide open. No one was being held accountable. So how heavy should that ruler come down on the hand? Enough to get his attention is really the question. That's yet to be answered. Maybe we'll find out that answer, right? Hopefully this is a wake-up call, but to me, and we spoke a little bit right before we went on, it's kind of dissatisfying that you have to worry about a number 1 draft pick who's getting paid quite well, who's a man amongst us all, And if he was working the fry line at McDonald's and he was late to work every day, he wouldn't have a job at the fry line in McDonald's. He's getting a pass right now because of what he does and who he is. But he's got to turn around because he's not that guy yet. Like you said, he's not that guy yet.
Yeah, and got Kurt saying hello. He's got some comments I'm going to get to in a couple minutes. But Trevor, your thoughts on Abdul Carter? You're a little younger than Keith and I, but how do you feel about discipline? You know, it's a different era in today's football. If this was 1980s with Bill Parcells, he'd probably be suspended for 2 games. But you know, he gets. You know, Keith mentioned it, and he's absolutely right. Dable let a lot of things go. Apparently, this may have been happening throughout the year, and now Kafka takes over and shows a little discipline. But you know, how much discipline can you show when you're an interim head coach trying to audition for a job here, and one of your star players, you know, you're going to bench him with Kayvon Thibodeau, another guy. You know, the Giants didn't play yesterday because of his injury. So you're already down Kayvon Thibodeau. What kind of discipline would you have addressed here as a younger guy? You know, maybe a little different generation.
Yeah, I wonder if the Giants would have went in a different direction if Kayvon Thibodeau played. I wonder if they would have suspended Carter for a full game, which I don't really wouldn't blame a coach for doing so. Even with a guy like Kafka coming in, I mean, yeah, you want to show these players you care about them and you're trying to put them in positions to be successful, but you also need to show discipline, and you have to show that as a head coach. That's part of the gig. Being a head coach is you got to show who's boss and show discipline, and so I would have loved to have known if Kayvon Thibodeau wasn't out, if Abdul Carter would have got suspended. It's a slap on the wrist, I would say, for a series. It's kind of, I'll be honest, a slap on the wrist. But again, he's got to clean it up. He's got to be better. I mean, he knows that he's in the spotlight too. I mean, obviously these guys are getting well paid, very well, rookies, but these guys are in the spotlight. You're supposed to be that mentor for these other guys going forward. For younger guys. So it'll be interesting to see how Abdul Carter bounces back from this.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you guys, and I like the great point about Kayvon Thibodeau. If he was there, was the suspension maybe be a half? Would it be the whole game? But he is not the number 3 pick in this draft that we thought, and I think part of it is the coaching. Defensive coordinators lost 4 games now in the fourth quarter. He's still hanging around. This defense is underperforming at the least, and not all around. I heard stat today that Giants front 4 is supposed to be the strength of the team, and they're one of the slowest ones to get to the quarterback. It just seems like a team that has given up. And I think if they do get rid of the defensive coordinator, you might see more enthusiasm on this team going forward.
Can I just say one other quick thing?
Yeah,
I think you could have made just as much of an emphasis as wanting to be that coach moving forward, saying you're sitting down for a full game, you're sitting down for 2 games. I'm getting control of this, as you are trying to put him out on the field after only 1 series. To try to, I mean, if that, it seems very, half-assed. I'll just use the word, you know what I mean? To kind of go out there and be like, okay, we're going to put you out for a series. Put him out for a game. Put him out for 2 games. I think you could have sent a better message, not only to the team, but to ownership of who you are as a potential coach moving forward.
But I would also want to interact, if I could, interrupt.
Of course.
Kenny. This has kind of been the Giants' problem as an organization. I mean, I think they've let things go too far. I mean, I don't think they've been disciplined enough as an organization. And I say that because Shane Bowen still has a job. I don't get it. I don't like calling for people's jobs. I want to make that clear. But I probably would have moved on from off of your DC as well and try to light a spark on this defense as well, because this defense has been really bad all season long, and there's really no reason for it when you have the talent that you have on this defense for this defense to be this bad. So I just think that as the Giants, from an organizational standpoint as a whole, they need to be more disciplined in general, and it needs to start from the top on down to the head coach and to the players. And so I don't want to be one of those kind of negative persons, people or anything like that, but it's like, I think it's an organizational problem with the Giants too, and then letting Daboll kind of not discipline these guys and him just kind of get away with a lot. It seemed like behind the scenes a lot more than maybe what other teams would have.
Yeah, and I know you guys are out there in the Colorado, Montana area, but on New York radio, WFAN, former Giant Tiki Barber is one of the hosts on an afternoon show. And I know he has gone off on Shane Bowen. It's absolutely asinine how this guy's got a job, and he can't understand how this guy's got a job. You guys witnessed it firsthand, the Broncos game, the comeback. And dropping into prevent defense, which he did. You learn from your mistakes. He does not. He did the same thing in the Cowboys game earlier this year when the 30 seconds left in the game, when we still had Malik Neighbors before his injury. 30 seconds left. He goes into a prevent defense, and what happens? The Cowboys kick a 64-yard field goal and go 40 yards in 3 plays. So, this guy has not learned from his mistake. His scheme is not working. And like Trevor said, you still keeping this guy makes no sense at all whatsoever. And some disciplinary action needs to be taken, or you're gonna be having a clown show over there. And that's why I want to bring in a couple people saying hello again. Graham was saying it won't teach him about Abdul Carter. Who cares? It was one series. Well said, Graham. It should have been more, I think. Kurt Valenti saying hello. He's saying, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You want to win? Go get a real head coach. He thinks Belichick could be a smokescreen. For those who don't know, Belichick said he's not interested in coming back. And I do agree that it could be a smokescreen. If the Giants did offer him a lot of money, maybe he comes, because right now you're in recruiting and you're in college football, towards the end of the season, and you're fighting for a bowl game. You're not going to want this, sideshow and saying, yeah, I'll come to the Giants while you're fighting for a bowl game. And then he says, you want a real coach? Go get Sean Payton. Do you want Sean Payton type of coach, or a gimmick guy like Jonathan Gannon? You'll be in the playoffs next year if you go get a real coach. Adam and Kayla saying, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for hanging out with us. The fourth horseman, we're going to get to this shortly, Jody. He's saying hello. He says he wants to know if you'd like Vance Joseph as the next head coach. And that's coming up right as I get done with these comments, Jody. We're going to get into that part of our agenda. And Keith and Trevor and Jody and all the Bronco fans, you're going to love this. Kurt's throwing the prediction out. Broncos, Eagles, Super Bowl. Get ready, boys. And then
I'll take it.
And he's also saying, could get a couple more comments in from Kurt. When Giants won in the past, Parcells, Coughlin, tough discipline. You have to hire a guy like that. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were saying. Keith and I, newer generation, Trevor, a little younger generation, but discipline. We want discipline on this Giants team. It's time. And he's saying if they get the right coach, easily second best team in the NFC East next year behind the Eagles. And then, it's not far said, like I look at this team roster and we got a quarterback, and we'll get into the agenda, but our roster has a franchise quarterback, it looks like. Offensive line is better than people think. Andrew Thomas, when healthy, is one of the best offensive tackles in football. And right now, the Giants' offensive line is ranked a little better than 15. They're ranked 13th in the NFL. That's not bad. Cam Scatterboo comes back. You got a running back. Malik Neighbors, receiver, and you go get something in the draft, maybe another playmaker, or build the offensive line a little more. Now we're talking. Defensive side of the ball, go get a head coach, go get a defensive coordinator, rather, a real guy, discipline, and we're going places. I agree, Kurt. We'll see. Keith Stober saying hello, Horseman. Hello, Keith. Thanks for hanging out with us. A little Giants show tonight. I brought the Horseman in with me to help me out tonight. And guys are in for perfect time, and Kurt's in there. Keith, there's Graham, there's Ernie, a lot of Bronco fans in here. So this is a good conversation to talk about right now. Your Broncos are 9-2, guys, audience that are out there that are Bronco fans. Big reason, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, big reason the Broncos are 9-2 is because of the defense. Yes, the offense has contributed, special teams has contributed, but biggest reason, in my opinion, is the defense, which is led by Mr. Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph, former head coach with the Cardinals, didn't have a very good, record with the Cardinals, but who has had a good record with the Cardinals besides Bruce Arians? So I'm not holding him against being a head coach in that organization. This Broncos team, leading the league in sacks, has a chance for a record. Could Vance Joseph is my surprise head coach candidate to be the next New York Giants head coach. When they search for their head coach, I think Vance Joseph's name is going to gain momentum. What better guy, in my opinion, and I'll have you guys talk about Vance Joseph, what better guy to have than a defensive coordinator now? In my opinion, it's going to be a package deal because he's going to bring Mr. Davis Mills with him as the Giants offensive coordinator. Davis Webb. Davis Mills, the quarterback from the Texans.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Davis Webb, former Giant, knows the area. Package deal. Mr. Vance Joseph comes, brings Davis Webb to be the offensive coordinator, which will be his first offensive coordinator job, gets the young quarterback. I'm all about it. I think Vance Joseph would bring some discipline to this team. I know it's not, Kurt wants the big guys, but if Belichick decides to stay in college, I would not totally be against Vance Joseph coming to the Giants. That front four, Giants will be right there with the Broncos next year, leading the league in sacks. He'll praise defense, and it'll be defense first. Make the second-year quarterback make a few plays, just like the Broncos are doing this year and how they're winning games. Bring Vance Joseph over, my surprise head coach candidate. We'll go to Trevor first on this one. I know he's been high on Vance Joseph all year. So do you think it's a possibility that Vance Joseph will get a head coach job? Do you think he'll be a candidate for the New York Giants?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a possibility that a very good possibility that Vance Joseph ends up being a head coach in this coming up offseason and this next coaching cycle. He's been a candidate for a couple years now. I mean, and his name's been obviously out there. Even when he was a defensive coordinator back in Arizona, his name was still kind of in that pool of coaches that teams were interviewing. So obviously didn't work out with the Broncos when he was a head coach in Denver for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them was really not Vance Joseph's fault, and it was more or less John Elway and Joe Ellis that were the big problems with that, and a big reason why VJ just never worked out. He never could pick his assistant coaches. Didn't have a whole lot to say into what the roster looked like and whatnot. So he just didn't have a lot of control. I think Vance Joseph needs another opportunity in the NFL to be a head coach. I will say that. But he needs a fair chance to be a head coach. He needs to be able to have a say in the personnel that he brings in. He needs to be able to have a say in his assistants, be able to bring his own OC. We've never seen him be able to do that. In Denver, his OC got picked for him. So, he needs to be able to have that opportunity with the Giants. I think they absolutely should be taking a look at Vance Joseph. The biggest thing with these defensive coordinators, though, is they've got to be able to bring in the right offensive coordinator alongside with them. It has to be, like you said, Kenny, it has to be a package deal. I'm not so sure Davis Webb would be that guy. I wonder if VJ wouldn't go more of the veteran route from an offensive coordinator standpoint, but I do think it makes a lot of sense, and I think Vance Joseph absolutely deserves a head coaching job. And if this season continues to go the way it is for the Broncos defensively, I think he's well on his way to being a head coach in the league.
Graham's calling, saying maybe he goes back to Miami.
Ooh.
Kurt saying Benjamin Albright, and that's a big name in Colorado radio, Denver radio. I said that under no circumstance will Vance Joseph be the defensive coordinator next year if he's a head coach or not. That to me, that says he's definitely going to be on top of the list for a head coach job. If I don't think he's going to lose his defensive coordinator position, especially if the Broncos continue to do what they're doing and winning games the way they're winning games. But I do think Vance Joseph's going to get a head coach job somewhere, whether it's with the Giants, Titans, some other jobs that'll open up. And Kurt brings up a pretty good point here. He says Giants media and market will eat him up. Yes, if they starts off rocky, for sure. The giant New York media works two ways. If you win, you're God. If you lose, you're poop.
You're dirt.
Dirt. And that's what it all comes down to. So he is right that the market, the media and market could eat him up. But whoever comes here, unless it's Bill Belichick or John Gruden, the media won't eat up. But any other coach that's not a big name, they eat you up immediately over here, and they do.
Kenny, I will say, Kurt said Vance Joseph will be the Broncos DC, won't be the DC regardless next year if he gets a head coaching job or not. If you're Sean Payton and Vance Joseph's not a head coach next year, he better be back in Denver, or there's going to be a problem, and these players are not going to like it as well. So the only way Vance Joseph's not in Denver next year better be because he has a head coaching job elsewhere. That's the
Or
only
he retires.
circumstances. Yeah. Which, yeah.
I'm gonna get
Just
Keith's
saying,
thoughts
just
real
saying.
quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but Kurt's
There's one other one that's about 8 feet under, but we're not wishing anything on anybody. So
yeah. I'll get Keith's thoughts. As Kurt's respond and saying maybe Albright was implying something between Peyton and Vance with a question mark. Albright said he does not expect Vance back next year, one way or another. Something maybe to talk about with the Denver Bronco Roundup on Wednesday. And again, for those who are just coming in, I got my two friends from the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Keith Brugman and Trevor Salzman. You could see them on the Denver Bronco Roundup on Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and post-game shows. You can also see Keith and I on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Monday mornings doing the Morning Juice football show where we go all around the league, 32 teams. We have some fun in between, and we bring it to you every Monday with some caffeinated talk as well. But Keith, your thoughts on Vance Joseph? Broncos are 9-2. Defense has been winning a lot of games. Is he ready to be a head coach and does he deserve that chance to be a head coach again after that Broncos in the past did not go well? Does he deserve one more chance?
well, I thought there was a good possibility we were going to lose him this last cycle, that he was a potential candidate. So, yes, now what he's done, now in concurrent years and the way he's been able to build that defense, and everyone knows right now that's the thing you need to worry about when you play the Denver Broncos. I'll say, A, he's ready. B, I love the fit because of what you have going on with the New York Football Giants. You said it before. This defense should be eating right now with what you have, and they're not. And I think Vance Joseph is a perfect fit for what you have on your roster and the way that you can lean right now on your roster with young talent being on the offensive side of the ball. The only question I have is the same question that Kurt brought up as well. Can he maintain in the chew him up, spit him out New York media when it was tough for him to maintain in the nice Highland Meadows of Denver, Colorado media? It's a totally different beast, and it does concern me a little bit from that perspective. That's something that they'd have to weigh out. And it does also kind of concern me because Joe Schoen's not only leading the search, but he's the guy who's going to be the main guy in charge, much like what happened in Denver when Vance Joseph was here and he had a guy that was already the main guy in charge, maybe pulling the strings. It'd be interesting to see, but I would like to go a different direction for your New York Football Giants. I have a name for you if we get to it.
Let's do that. But Kurt's saying Belichick, Gruden, McCarthy, my picks for the Giants. And nothing wrong with any of those three guys, in my opinion. And those were three guys on my list for the Giants' next head coach job. I just wanted to put a surprise head coach candidate out there. And what better, candidate to put out there than Vance Joseph with my two friends from the Rocky Mountain Sports Network to get their thoughts on him.
Absolutely.
But well said, Keith. Like Kurt said too, big market might hurt him. But yeah, I got two other maybe surprise. One's not a surprise candidate. One could not as big surprise candidates, but give me who you guys think could be a good fit for the Giants, and then I'll just give you my two other names that I'm going to throw on the list for today's coach search. My mind changes. I change my mind every day on the Giants head coach search. So tomorrow, these names will probably be not on the list tomorrow. But who's your name you got, Keith, for the next Giants head coach that you think the Giants should bring in?
We are not sponsored by these people, but DraftKings Sportsbook had their list of odds of who will be the next New York Giants head coach. I'm going to go with the guy that's number 3 on this list that I like the best. Give him another shot. Steve Spagnuolo back to the New York back to New York in the New York area. I love the idea of the Chiefs defensive coordinator. You talk about discipline. You talk about defensive discipline for Abdul Carter. Does that Chiefs defense not just about scare everybody every single year in the way that he attacks? You bring him, pair him with the right guy, give him another chance at being an NFL head coach. I think he's ready, man. That's the guy I would be targeting. And I think as far as the media, he would survive it well. I like the idea of the Belichicks. I like the idea of the Grudens. But, at one point, I think we all like the idea of Bill Cowher coming out of retirement too someday and maybe coming back and leading a team. At some point, the past is the past. I'd like to move a little bit more into the future with Steve Spagnuolo.
Love it. And I had him written down as one of my second guy here. And he's not a surprise candidate because I think he is going to get some third name on that list. He is ready. Hey, he has Chris Jones in Kansas City. He's going to have Dexter Lawrence here in New York. And then the defense is going to run around that. And he's got, over in the secondary. The secondary is not terrible with Paulson Adebo being a number one corner. He's been hurt a little bit, but when he's out on that field, he is a number one corner. So I think he's got a good defense to build around. And, defense first and offense, you make your young quarterback make a few plays. It'd be very similar to the Broncos team this year and the Chiefs team as well going forward. Trevor, I'm going to ask you a little different.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
I like the idea of building to where your team is the best at right now. I really feel like you're best on the defense, or you should be. Go get a coach that can coach that right now. I mean, I know it's near short term, the whole 9 yards, but go to where your team is built, and that's what I want.
Yeah,
Kenny, I have a couple names as well. Whenever.
Yeah, I wanted give me a couple names after I ask you this question. I don't know who's on your list, but. I want to ask you, I know we're talking about the veteran guys, the disciplinarians. You're a younger guy. First, before you give me your 2 names, maybe it's the direction you're going, but I want a young guy from you who you think can take over for the Giants. Because we want the older guys. I got Spagnuolo. We got Gruden's name mentioned, Belichick, McCarthy. We got Vance Joseph's name. Give me a young guy that could take over New York and get this team in the right direction.
And first of all, Kenny, I'm not in love with Bill Belichick and John Gruden being on this list. I mean, I'll be honest, the splashiest hire rarely works out. I mean, a lot of the times it needs to be, you got to focus on what's best for the football team, not necessarily the biggest splash. So those guys might be the biggest splash, but they didn't obviously over time didn't work out in their other destinations for a reason. I would probably stay away from those guys, to be honest. I know that's not a popular probably decision or something to say, I should say. But I got a guy that I think would be perfect, and that's Mike LaFleur, the OC in LA with the Rams. And that's Matt LaFleur's brother. And he's under Sean McVay. I think this is a perfect guy to bring in for the Giants because – you need to develop Jackson Dart. We can talk about defense, and their defense needs to be better. Of course, it needs to be better, but you got to develop Jackson Dart. This is the guy that you invested in. He's the guy that's given this franchise hope to hey, we can get back to the playoffs, so we can possibly win a Super Bowl a couple years down the line. So Michael LaFleur with the Rams, the OC there, he's a guy to keep an eye on. He's been with the Rams for a couple years now, I think 3 seasons now under Sean McVay. And we knew last time that there was an OC under Sean McVay was Kevin O'Connell, and that he worked pretty dang well for the Minnesota Vikings. So there's been a past history of that working out for other teams under Sean McVay, that coaching tree under Sean McVay. So Mike LaFleur, I think, would be a really good choice, I think, for the Giants, especially if you want to develop a guy like Jackson Dart. And I think that he can provide this Giants team with that spark that you need from a young up-and-coming head coach.
That's a great name because it's a surprise head coach candidate, and that was the thumbnail today. And we got Vance Joseph and Mike LaFleur. Nobody has mentioned those 2 names out in the media or shows, podcasts. So good name there. Great name by Steve Spagnuolo. You said you had two, Trevor. You want to give me your second one?
Yeah, this is the other one that I have. It's really not a surprising name, I would say, but Mike McCarthy. I think he'd be a great choice as well. I mean, just the winning he's been able to provide in the past. He's won a Super Bowl before. He knows what it takes to get back there. To be able to pair that up with Jackson Dart, I think would be huge for him, and giving him that veteran offensive play caller that can put him in his place and develop him the way he needs to develop him. I think also Mike McCarthy would handle the media really well. I mean, he handled the media pretty well in Dallas when he was there too. So Mike McCarthy would be high on my list as well. What he was able to do in Dallas and Green Bay with Rodgers and Dak Prescott. He's also, I think, really good at picking out his DC. I know his last year in Dallas didn't go very well, but Dan Quinn, he was able to keep Dan Quinn there in Dallas for quite a while to be his DC. So I do think all the way around, Mike McCarthy is a good head coach, and I think he'd be a great candidate for the Giants.
Yeah, and as bad as you say Mike Zimmer was, Mike Zimmer's still a lot better than Matt Eberflus on what the defense is doing this year in Dallas. So might have been the players and not the coach there with Mike Zimmer. But our good friend Michael Ronquillo, everybody's friend, saying good evening, Kenny, Keith, and Trevor. He just got done watching the Mile High podcast over there on YouTube. So thank you for joining us, Michael. And he's giving us the salute and saying hello to some other people as well. Any other coaches we want to mention? I think we nailed it with our surprise candidates and some.
I got one more surprise.
Candidates.
I want your thoughts on this. I know that supposedly maybe some bad blood in the past with different staff, whatever. Would you welcome Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, into be your head coach? I think that would be a surprise candidate right there.
Surprise candidate for sure. It was a name a couple months ago. I was gaining momentum, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing over there right now. And I just think with New York, it can get real ugly real fast. Like mentioned earlier, the media and market here, there's going to be a lot of headlines, about his, his coaching style and stuff like that, and issues he's had in the past.
Yep.
I think Brian Flores has a really good chance of getting a job, maybe like a Tennessee, a smaller market, and stay under the radar a little bit and maybe build that team up. So I would say no, but it wouldn't surprise me 100% if Brian Flores got interviewed and got some looks from the Giants, but I'm going to say no because I think you need a big, not a bigger name. I just need somebody who's not going to be a media attention getter as Brian Flores would be.
Kenny, I want to name it. I have another name for you, Joe Brady in Buffalo. Do you think that would be a candidate out there? I mean, you talk about a young, up and coming possible head coaching candidate. I mean, what he's been able to do with Josh Allen, I think should go and be recognized as well, and maybe possibly help out Jackson Dart. I know maybe the Buffalo ties.
That's what I was just going to say.
Maybe it won't be ideal, but I mean, if he's the right candidate, I think no matter what the background is, you got to focus on getting the right guy in place. Joe Brady might be a name that they might consider it, but I could also see why you would shy away from that too.
I'm going to say he shies away from it because it failed. And if he, fails with another Buffalo guy, Joe Shane will never have another job in the NFL again, in my opinion. So,
and another name, Clint Kubiak.
That's a name that should be getting a head coaching job soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Cliff Kingsbury is on. It should be in there. He's also on this list of the DraftKings. Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator out there for the Chargers. Jeff Haley, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy is the odds-on favorite, though. Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, also sits right in the middle. A lot of defensive coordinators on that list.
Lou Amarillo's a name to watch because when Dable got hired, Lou Amarillo was also interviewed for the Giants job, and one of the finalists, I believe, one of the finalists, and I think Shane's ties with Dable was the big difference maker there.
There is one other offensive coordinator I didn't mention, or no one mentioned. That was Mike Kafka.
Mike Kafka,
who is the current interim
this
head
is an
coach.
audition for him. Yeah. And Tiki Barber said it perfectly today. Tiki Barber has a system. Every win right now, you're you're at 0%, but every win you get, I'm sorry, he said he's starting with Kafka was 15% getting the job next year. Every win is going to be added 10% to that. So right now he's still at 15. They gave him -5 for his coaching decisions yesterday, so he's down to 10%. Challenges. He didn't challenge one play he should have. He got gun shy because he made a terrible challenge on an early first quarter Josh Jacobs run where they said he was out of bounds, but he clearly was nowhere near out of bounds. So it's a terrible challenge there. So Tiki Barber has a system. Every win, he's going to gain 10% on getting the job. So right now he's at a low 10%. So he's got to get some wins in Tiki Barber's mind to gain some momentum. I got one more for you guys tonight. This one should take a little time to wrap the show up. We got about 15 minutes left, give or take. Joe Schoen survived. We talked about Brian Daboll's replacements, but Joe Schoen survives to many surprised fans, including my co-host on New York Giants Football Talk, Paul Rosen, wanted him gone. And we had a fun little debate last week. Paul's wife wanted more debates, more enthusiasm. I said, Paul, I'm going to give you the draft class of 2025. Abdul Carter, you raved and came on our draft show. Yes, we got Abdul Carter. I wanted him. Jackson Dart, you got the quarterback you wanted. Cam Scatterboo, you got the running back you wanted. It was like you were drafting for the team. So if you want Joe Schoen gone, you got to go too, I told him. But he said about his past. So I'm not going to go through all these names. Joe Schoen came in 2022 is when he started. Let me get my paper out. I got some of his key draft picks and key signings in other years. So in 2022, I'll do a check mark. And if you guys disagree, say disagree. Check mark for Thibodeau, pick number 5. I think that was a good pick.
Yep.
Evan Neal, X. 7th pick in the draft. Wan'Dale Robinson, pick 47. Check mark. I think he's a good slot receiver. I think he did well at pick 47. Yeah. Josh Azudu, offensive lineman in the 3rd round, not on the team anymore. Obvious X. Cordell Flott, now our cornerback number 2, beat out Deonte Banks. This is in 2022. Got him in the 3rd round, pick 81. Check mark. Daniel Bellinger, tight end I wanted the Broncos to trade for. Backup tight ends. Pick 112. Check. Dane Belton, backup safety. We'll pick 114. Starting now with the injuries to Tyler Nubin. Check. Micah McFadden, linebacker in the 5th round. Starting linebacker, got hurt early in the season. Starting inside linebacker. Check. DJ Davidson, pick 147, a backup defensive tackle. Check. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players from 2022 that are still on this team and contributing. He had 1, 2, 3, 2 misses. I'm not going to count the 7th round picks. Those are usually misses. 2023, arguably easily his worst draft. Deonte Banks, I'm going to give an X with an asterisk because Deonte Banks was good with Wink Martindale, but when Shane Bowen came over, terrible. John Michael Schmitz gets a check. The rest, terrible draft. Jalen Hyatt, Eric Gray, Hawkins, a corner. None of these guys are on the team anymore. 2023, bad draft. 2024, he makes up. He gets Malik Neighbors, Tyler Nubin, Andrew Phillips, Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, and Darius Muasau, all playing on this team today. So everybody's starting and backups on this team, mostly starters. When you look at this draft, there's 5 starters, and Darius Muasau is the only backup. And then 2025, I'm just going to, we're not going to go through because that's, still the season. So that's an incomplete. Some of his big signings was 2023, he signed Daniel Jones to 4 years, 160, but only 82 guaranteed. He saw something in Daniel Jones because look what he's doing with Indianapolis. He let Saquon Barkley go. Maybe Barkley getting a little old. Those legs are looking old right now. He's not having that year he had last year. Okay, but let Barkley go. That was the big one there. Traded Leonard Williams for a second-round pick. Flipped that pick for Jackson Dart. Brian Burns came in for a second-round pick. Second in the league in sacks because of Myles Garrett's monster game yesterday. And then this past year, he signed Paulson Adebo, cornerback 1, Javon Holland. He signed 2 quarterbacks, Russ, okay, 1-year deal, and Jameis Winston to a 2-year deal, which looks pretty good now. Joe Schoen deserved his job. That's just some of the key ones that I mentioned. You know, he's had some misses, but what GM doesn't have misses? Look at George Payton. He survived, brought in Sean Payton. Now things are going, nobody's talking about George Payton's job anymore. George Payton was on the hot seat. They fired Vic Fangio and bring in Sean Payton. And, you know, after 2 head coaching searches, you know, he survives. And things are looking good now for Denver. So, Keith, I'll go to you. This Joe Schoen, should he have his job, or do you agree with Paul and a lot of other Giant fans that he should have been fired?
You know, Joe Schoen is a product of Hard Knocks. Honestly, I think if they would have never done Hard Knocks and you got to see who Joe Schoen was, maybe more behind the scenes, you look at, you talk about it, man, the picks look good. You know, the picks look really good. And just because you have your kids in there and you're asking, hey, who do you think you'd pick? And the whole 9 yards, it plays so poorly, played so badly out there, especially for a team that's struggling at the time, right? You went through the list, Kenny. I think if this was just a blind, you know, blind test, where you just said, hey, pick this guy, he's a starter. He picked, you know, pick this guy, he's a starter. You pick this guy, he's a starter. It just went through this. You'd be like, man, who is this guy, man? This is who I want running my team. So I think you're right. I think there's a lot of reasons that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And there's a lot worse things going on out there as far as organizations, the picks that are being made and the way it's being ran than what's being done with Joe Schoen, man. I think you're right, but I'm telling you what, Hard Knocks did him no favors.
No, you know, that's a good point. I did miss a couple comments on my phone. I apologize. Sharon was saying about Joe Brady, Keith, which was the name you mentioned. She said, Trevor, rather. She stays in Buffalo because she's a big Bills fan. She wants him to stay in Buffalo. Our good friend Roy Osborne saying, hey there, all. Nice to see all you guys. Welcome to winter because it's snowing, second time of the year here.
Wow.
Getting the snow. But yeah, and then, you know, 2022 when he came in, it was a mess. Salary cap 2023 wasn't any better. So, you know, he did sign in 2022 two starting offensive linemen, Mark Lewinsky and John Feliciano. Brought in Tyrod Taylor, who competed in that first year with Daniel Jones for the starting job. So that's when he came in 2022. You nailed it, Keith. You said the draft picks look good. I'm showing you all the starters that are still on this team or contributing on this team. Joe Schoen's not out there coaching. Joe Schoen's not out there playing. Joe Schoen's bringing the players in. Yeah, he's had some kicking. You know, Paul always alludes to the kicking problems this year. You know, not signing a kicker, having Graham Gano hurt, and not having somebody elevated. So yeah, some mistakes there. But you bring in coach. Coach goes to the GM. Get me a kicker. You know, that's on coaching too. I think Joe Schoen's done enough through his drafts, through his trades, through his free agent signings to give him another chance to find that coach and get this thing right. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm back and forth on. I mean, I think he's done enough, just enough to keep his job. From my understanding, though, it's John Mara and ownership that's running this head coaching search, Kenny, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Joe Schoen probably is going to be a part of it, but I don't think he's the lead guy in this coaching search?
He is the lead guy in the coaching search.
He-
It was announced that he's going to be the decision maker in this head coach search.
Okay.
So it is
Okay.
Joe Shane.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my thing is though, like when you go and have Daniel Jones as your quarterback, I remember that Giants team. And it's like they had Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. That was about it. There was no other weapons around Daniel Jones. How are you expecting this guy to be successful when he has no weapons? Yeah, he saw something in Daniel Jones, but you didn't put no weapons around him. Look at what Daniel Jones is doing with the Colts. Why is he doing that? Because he has weapons alongside him, and he's been being put in situations to be successful. And that's also on the GM though for building the roster outright. Yeah, Saquon Barkley. What else? I mean, there wasn't a lot else there. So I mean, other than when the Giants got Malik Neighbors, but it's just like I think that he's done a good job through the draft. Of course, free agency. I think that he could be better through free agency. I think trades could be better through trades, but I think his drafts. I think I've said this to you enough, Kenny, before. Joe Shane's job has been saved because of the draft picks, and John Mara, the Giants owner, has said that multiple times. Like Joe Shane is really good at drafting, and he's done a really good job at with these classes and building this roster through the draft. But it's everything else surrounding this team in free agency and also through trades. I think he can be a little bit better with. Obviously, needs first and foremost, he needs to identify his kind of head coach to bring in here. That's going to be a huge thing with Joe Shane. So for the most part, though, I think he does deserve to keep his job. But again, I don't think that he's completely off the hot seat if things don't turn around early next season.
No, and you know what? It could even just it's not set in stone. We just because we said it earlier, because Belichick says he doesn't want to coach, people change their minds. A month from now, Belichick may say, "Yeah, I'm interested in the NFL." John Mara, Tisch, our owners, they may change their mind. If we go 2-15, we don't win another game this year, and we're making more mistakes. Maybe they look at it and say, "Yeah, we didn't make the right decision. We're going to move on from you as well, Joe, and we're going to go in a different direction." People change their minds every day, so it's not set in stone. This is still a day by day thing with Joe Shane, but I do think they're going to stick to their words. The Giants are usually a class organization, and when they say something, they stick to it. And I think that Joe Shane will get another job. I hope he gets it right, because I was ecstatic about our draft picks last year. Malik Neighbors, when he came in, I was ecstatic about that in 2024. His first draft, I was ecstatic about Kayvon Thibodeau. So I'm expecting nothing less than being ecstatic in the 2026 draft next year, and maybe multiple first-round picks. If the Giants have a high pick, somebody wants a quarterback, here's my price, take it or leave it. And you don't want the quarterback, you're not going to get this is going to be the price. So I'm expecting multiple first-round picks next year from the Giants.
Kenny, I will say this too. I think the most important draft pick of all, though, for Joe Shane it's been Jackson Dart. I think that's really the biggest draft pick that he's nailed, at least up to this point, because that has saved his job. Now you're not going out there and looking for a quarterback as well. Yeah, he's hit on these other positions and these other players, but what's the most important position in football? It's quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback that you can get behind and that can be successful in your mind, you don't got much, and you don't have anything. So, and the Giants they've seen that after moving off of Daniel Jones. So the Jackson Dart draft pick, I think, above him, of those other draft picks, has really saved Joe Shane's job, because now you have a young quarterback that you can build behind and get behind, and that's more attractive to other potential head coaching candidates around the league, and it looks better for you now that you got Jackson Dart and you didn't fall into the whole Shedeur Sanders kind of dilemma.
And just to I just want to double down on that too, because I believe in the idea that it's really easy to typically pick a top 5, top 10 pick. I mean, if you're messing up a top 5 pick, shame on you. You're not a good GM. But Jackson Dart wasn't a top 5 pick. He wasn't a top 10 pick. And now you went out there and potentially you have your franchise quarterback. That's where the value of a good GM. That's the value of a GM who knows how to draft. Really comes into play, and I would have to agree with what Trevor just said. Get to your comments, Kenny.
And no, my comments was going to be I agree with the first round picks. I agree with Paul when he says the same thing. Oh, you couldn't get Abdul Carter wrong. I slightly disagree with that though, because the Giants, thank goodness, he says the Giants were never going to draft Shedeur Sanders at 3, but the Giants spent more time with Shedeur Sanders, and experts like so-called experts, I'll call them out, like Mel Kiper had Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants at 3. Some experts even had him going to the Titans at one time. Passed on Shedeur Sanders, jumps up into the first round to get Jackson Dart, whether it was Brian Dable who influenced him or not. He still makes the phone call and does it, gets Jackson Dart, and thank goodness for that move, for not getting Shedeur Sanders, because that could have been a disaster if Shedeur Sanders is drafted at 3 instead of Abdul Carter.
Joe Shane isn't here. That's what kind of disaster that is.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee it, my friend.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we'll see. 2026 is going to be an important year for the Giants, and it's going to be the make or break for Joe Shane. And I will give Joe Shane's son some praise. His son is on Don Bosco Prep High School, and then playing number 1 team in New Jersey. Quarterback took over mid-season for the kid who got hurt, and going for a state championship. So let's hope for the best for Joe Shane's son over there, Don Bosco Prep Ironman. Go get that championship. Let's catch up on a couple comments and maybe a quick review, because a couple people came in late and we hit this earlier. Roy, $1 million question. He says, do you see VJ going to the Giants? We hit that earlier, Roy. He's a surprise candidate for me. It's not, I think he's going to emerge as a candidate for a job. I don't know if it'll be the fit for the Giants, but it would not surprise me 100% if he went there. Michael giving us some college football news. James Franklin, former Penn State head coach, gets a new job as the Virginia Tech Hokies in the ACC. So I'll be dealing with him as a Miami Hurricane fan. And Michael, we alluded to this at the beginning of the show. I know you were watching a Broncos podcast. Abdul Carter was sleeping during his walkthrough, and we alluded to that and said that he needs to be disciplined a little more. Maybe just benching him for one series wasn't enough. And Graham just heard CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both sat on the first drive of tonight's game. We were talking about Abdul Carter being benched for first. I'm curious to see what they did. And it could be something similar over there. But, maybe you got to discipline these guys a little more, because, there's a lot more guys like that. And I want to see more guys like Alex Singleton on your Broncos, because watching him on the sidelines, and prayers up for him, seeing what he's doing, and wants everybody to be aware of the situation, and if you go get checked and stuff like that, could be an inspiration for all, and definitely motivated his team yesterday by being on the sidelines. Need more players like that. Michael's saying Lane Kiffin's getting some steam for the head coach job with the LSU Tigers. He's throwing some more college football out there. And Jody, we hit this earlier. How do you feel about Klint Kubiak? We'll get some final thoughts in a second. We'll do a 2-minute rundown. 2-minute. You want to get a question in? We'll do a 2-minute warning. Get it in now. And he wants to know how you feel about Klint Kubiak. I think he's going to get a job somewhere, Jody. I think he gets an interview with the Giants. I don't think he gets the job with the Giants. Mm-hmm. Michael said Cam Scatterboo was spotted at Monday Night Raw with his teammates because they're at Madison Square Garden tonight. I'll have to go back and check that one out. Guys, want to get some final thoughts in, questions, anything to ask? We got the Lions this week. We'll do a prediction. Playing Carson's Lions. Hopefully he can join me on K&K. I know he's got a busy schedule. Go check out Carson, our co-host on K&K, Carson Shears Show. He's got permission to do play-by-play for the Pistons games on his channel. So go check out Carson when the Pistons are playing. Does play-by-play for them, and they're having a great start to their season. So maybe he's bringing them some luck, and maybe a future future broadcaster there with the Pistons if he's bringing them all that luck. So our good friend Carson. But we got the Lions this week. I'm going to go to my friends first, and don't feel like you got to say, Giants going to keep this game close. You can go 41-0 if you want, and I'm not going to hold it. I'll have you guys back anytime that, whatever you say here on the prediction, I'll have you guys on. We'll go to Keith first.
Giants are in the predicament because they have Jameis Winston. They could be putting up 30 points or they could be putting up 13 points. If they're putting up 30 points, they're going to be in the running. If they get that 13-point Jameis Winston performance, you know what that means. They just don't have the defense to, I think, keep up with this Detroit Lions team, who will look to get off the schneid after, taking a loss. And Dan Campbell will probably have some better fourth down plays, or maybe just punt or whatever it happens to be. I think the Detroit Lions get back on track here. 32-13. I'll go with that. Well, that way. Hope it's a 32-30 game, man, and make it real fun and interesting, though. I love Jameis Winston. He just goes out there, he has fun playing the game, and I'm glad he got him as a backup. Hopefully he sticks around, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Trevor, prediction in this one.
Ooh.
It's in Detroit.
Well, as long as the Giants defense keeps playing as badly as he's played lately, I mean, I don't know how the team has a chance. Seriously, is Kenny, I guess I'll ask you this question: is Shane Bowen's job ever? I mean, is he going to get let go at any point in time this season, or do you think they just ride it out with him?
I think they get rid of him after Detroit.
Yeah, I was going to say, they can't be riding with him this much longer. I mean, because my score prediction is like 35-21 probably. I'll give the Giants offense a little more credit, but it's like, it's rough.
I'm with you. I'm going to give the offense. The offense has been playing well, for going for our third quarterback this year. Started with Russ. Jackson Dart motivated the team. Some excitement goes out. They almost beat the Packers yesterday. The offense is not the problem. Scoring in the 20s. The offense is not the problem. The problem is the defense. Mm-hmm. And the problem is you had a Lions team that got embarrassed yesterday in Philly. They go back indoors now. Lions running backs only had 74 yards total. Giants struggle against the run. Jamar Gibbs and Montgomery are going to eat up this team, which may keep some points off the board for the Lions. But I'm going to go 31 for the Lions. On the Giants side, well, we're going to score. I think it's going to be about 31-20, 31-23 type game. Giants keep it somewhat respectable, but the defense will blow it again. And Gibbs and Montgomery are going to have monster games in this. And, the run defense for the Giants is going to be horrendous once again. And this game goes into the 30s. Shane Bowen will be fired Monday morning. So that's going to be my prediction. A little closer than 31-12, 33, 32-13. I'm going to say 31-20, 31-20, 31-20 to 31-23. But no way we beating Detroit after a loss in Detroit. So we'll be 2-10 and in prime position to get multiple first-round picks in next year's draft. I want to thank my friends coming on tonight. If there's any other final thoughts, we'll get them in now. Keith and Trevor, final. Oh yeah, we just did predictions. Let's get final thoughts in. I'm just losing my mind here for a second. We didn't do final thoughts. I'll get Trevor's first.
Yeah, final thoughts from me. I mean, I know that it might be a little, currently for the Giants, it might be a little hazy and foggy right now. But I mean, I think this team does have a bright future if you can find the right head coach and find the right DC. I think this team can be a playoff team next year. You have a guy in Jackson Dart that's gonna, needs to get his feet wet this season. But I mean, I think going into next season, that he's the guy. I mean, that's huge when you're talking about building a roster around him from a general manager standpoint. Is who your quarterback's going to be. You don't have to second guess it, and you can find the pieces to continue to build around him. And I think that's what Giants fans should be excited for. I mean, you get a chance to continue to build this already talented team on both sides of the ball too. Defense and offense side of the ball, you get a chance to continue to build this team outright with these, this current core, young core that you have put in place right now. So I think Giants fans should be excited for the future. I know this season's a little tough, but just think higher draft picks coming along in April, and I mean the future's bright, and with Joe Shane as well. I think in the draft, be able to find talent. So keep, for Giants fans out there, keep your heads up, and I think the future's bright, and just kind of get through this season. Maybe watch the Giants game for a little bit, and then turn it off and go watch something else if things don't turn out right. But again, I mean, future's bright for this team.
Thank you, Trevor. Keith, final thoughts, my friend.
I'm going to go this way, man. I'm going to go this way. 10%. Go get that 10%. Go get that 10% for Mike Kafka, because I can tell you what, every single player on there, you might want them picks, F them picks, all right? Because I think these players need to go out there and need to prove a little bit as well, man. Prove it every single week. Go out there, have a good time, play football, play loose and free, but be on point. We started off this show talking about a player in Abdul Carter who may not have been on point. It's time to get on point, man. Show who you are. Go out there, have some fun, compete. And I'll tell you what, I think the wins could actually come around, and that's okay, man. F them picks. It's okay. Go out there, get some wins, because I think this would do a lot for this team, man. It's time to get back to these type of days.
Oh, look at that
These
football
type
there.
of
Look
days.
at that.
All
Wow,
right.
that's a nice surprise there. Thank you for showing that.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Thanks for having me
appreciate
on,
you
buddy.
guys.
It's been always a pleasure coming on, being a part of the K&K Sports Network for just a night, man. It's fantastic, man. Appreciate you having me, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate it, Kenny. Thank you.
Definitely, guys. Thank you. Go, please. I want to thank my guests, Keith Brugman and Trevor Saltzman. Denver Bronco Roundup will be on Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern Time. Sometimes it's 10 o'clock. But go check them out, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check them out on Friday, but check out the Morning Juice on Monday mornings. We did a show this morning, and it was a lot of fun. We go around the whole league, so we talk Giants, for those Giant fans out there, and we talk NFC East. We talk everybody and talk about everybody in football. But yeah, so my final thoughts. Great, great what you said about the Giants. Let's be competitive. The offense isn't the problem; it's the defense. So the next move is to get rid of Shane Bowen, and maybe then, like Keith said, this team will have some fun on both sides of the ball. Until next week, we'll have some more. Giants talk's going to be hot. I've never been more excited, I guess, about doing shows for a 2-9 team. But when you're looking for a new head coach, when you're excited about next year's draft, you're excited about the future, it makes things exciting. So we'll see everybody next week. Another episode of New York Giants Football Talk. And